Okay, so I can start just for everyone. My name is Courtney Pelfrey. I'm the Assistant Director of Downtown Career Services. Typically, I work downtown in Union West, right there on Livingston in UCF's newest campus. But of course, right now, we're still primarily virtual. So right now I'm at home. And I'll have Stephanie introduce herself next.
Yeah, hey everyone, my name is Stephanie and I also work with UCF Downtown, just kind of handling the communication and marketing aspects as far as like social media and digital media and all that goes. So yeah, I'm basically just here remotely as well, working from home and super excited to get to know a little bit more of everyone here.
Yeah, so Isabella, I'll turn it over to you next, and then we can go through all of your student team who's with us.
That sounds great. First off, I want to say thank you, Courtney and Stephanie, for the opportunity to be a part of what UCF does, which is educating students and preparing them for career paths, obviously, but also, being able to become amazing working professionals. What I created with Intern Pursuit was built out of a need I saw in the market and was where employers just really didn't know how to tap into superpowers. And these are all superpower people that are here with us today. They do amazing things and they jump through a lot of hoops for me. And I truly appreciate that. So the word intern is an entry-level job title, but they are professionals, honestly, the way that they treat the experience. And I'm very grateful for that. But that's what Intern Pursuit is there to do, is to help employers be able to understand how to get more out of that experience for the intern as well as for themselves. So the people that are here, one of the things that I had them do, except Donnie may not know about this one, and Ridvik, maybe some of them don't know, tell something that's amazing about them. And this is not the time to be shy about them, because they each have some amazing skills. And, we talked about this on the call, but if they need help, I can definitely guide them because I can say what does make them amazing. So if we could do that, that would be fun.
Yeah, I would love that. And one thing I'll ask too is if you could just make sure for Stephanie, you could say, obviously your name, but also the institution you're studying at currently, your major and what year in school you are. That would be really helpful information for us too.
Yeah, and if you would turn your camera on, if you have taken your shower or brushed your hair, whatever, but it would be really helpful so that people can connect with another face, obviously.
Yeah, we'd love to see that.
Yeah. So I'm going to kick it off with Min too. She is the one that never saw this coming. So what makes you amazing? Because I've told you what makes you amazing, but let's hear what you have to say.
I don't know. I don't like talking about myself. I don't like myself like that.
Yeah.
You did say I was a good writer, but I think like my adaptability is pretty good. I don't know what else.
She's really strong with organization skills. She's an excellent writer. She helped reorganize our blog, getting everything connected so we would improve our SEO. So she needs to tie those things together with what it is that she does. She's got a great eye for design. I could go on and on about each one of them, but those are some of the things that make her amazing.
Yes. So I studied at the University of Central Florida with a bachelor's in advertising and PR. So I was in the Nicholson School, and I just recently graduated in fall 2020. So that's where I'm.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's quite a few of them that have graduated or will be graduating here also. So, all right. Do you want to go to the next person? Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. And we'll circle back to everyone and ask for more details. So
that sounds good. So Augustina, she's new. She's very new on the team. So she can definitely tell you more about, you should be sure to tell them your year in school too. It's impressive what you have jumped into.
Okay. Well, hi, my name is Agustina. I'm a freshman. Actually, this is my first year UCF, but I came with some incoming credits, so academically I'm a sophomore. I go to UCF and my major is human communication. I'm actually a part of the Nicholson School of Communication as well. And like Isabella said, this is my first semester working with Intern Pursuit, and this is my first professional experience overall. So I'm really excited. And something amazing about me would be that, well, first of all, I'm a very like eager to learn person. Like I would just soak everything in. And then I'm actually an international student, so I can bring that different point of view or different perspective to the team, which is something that I'm also really excited about. So yes, definitely that.
And she's bilingual.
That is amazing. To be in your
Yeah.
first year and having such a profound professional experience is incredible.
Yeah, and she's learning how to prepare a PR campaign and then the content around that. Their campaign, she's working with Emily on this, another person on the team. They're doing one that's a focus on individuals with disabilities.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Augustina, I'll have somebody to connect you with offline who works at UCF Downtown that I think could be an amazing resource.
Awesome. That would be great.
So we're going to go to Donnie next.
Hello. My name is Donnie. I'm a senior at UCF. What was the other question?
What do
Your
you study,
major?
Donnie?
Oh, my major. Oh, yeah. Human communication is my major right now. So something Isabella says is amazing about me is my team-oriented mindset, my charisma, and I would really try to hone in on the team-oriented mindset because I'm very big on working as a team, and I feel like that's I won't move without a person if they're lacking in something. I won't move my team forward unless we all can move forward. So that's the kind of mindset I have.
Ooh, and let me point out, he works a full-time job and he's a dad, and he also has going to school full-time, and he did the internship. So he had a lot that he was juggling there.
Yeah.
So multitasking is also a strength of yours.
I wouldn't say it's a strength, but it's something I definitely got through this last semester. It was it was crazy, especially with COVID and everything. But
Yep.
I personally,
Well, it definitely, I would say it stretched you and you learned what you were capable of, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that would be key. Something else that I think he's really, really great, all of them are, honestly. He takes, constructive feedback and he really processes it, and then, you see a different set of results, and not everybody is great about doing that.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go over to Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Snyder. I'm a graduating senior this semester at UCF. I'm studying, my major is general studies, I switched it to, but I've taken courses mostly in the radio television program. And I'd say something amazing about me is my analytical skills, my writing skills, as well as I'm able to adapt to like different things, like in an internship or a work environment. I'm just versatile. I'm able to adapt to whatever I need to do.
She has a really good sense of humor also. She and I worked on the show together, the podcast.
Sure.
And she had to do a lot of research on the guests, and she was also co-hosting the shows with me. So she
That's
would keep me
amazing.
in stitches.
Which is always good for a podcast. I feel like you've got to have that element of humor in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. Rithik. You're muted though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too great at talking about myself either. I'm Rithvik. I'm currently a sophomore at UC Berkeley in California. Started working with Isabella like a year back. In terms of, I guess, what is different about me, perhaps I guess I'd like to say I'm creative and goal oriented, and keen on spotting the details on and every single problem. And I really enjoy working with a team. Don't know. I mean, Isabella could probably talk a little bit more about me. I definitely am not the greatest person at talking about myself.
He's very humble. He is that. Now, the reason why I invited him to this call is he was he's been with me for a year, but with my pivot business, and then he flipped over to Intern Pursuit. He was instrumental to getting Intern Pursuit accepted with the Plex Tech Computer Science and AI Club. And they actually helped develop the platform in the first semester and then also the second. He has an extremely analytical mindset. He's worked with me on creating the financial models. He's participated in so many different things, but he has adapted and embraced the team that he works with here. And in all fairness, it's 3 hours earlier for him. So it is
Oh my
14 in the
goodness.
morning.
Well, we
So,
so
yeah.
appreciate you being here and offering your insight. I think it'll help us to kind of really get a well-rounded view of obviously Intern Pursuit and what you're all contributing. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Was that everyone? I think I was trying to make sure. I think that was everyone, right?
Yep, it sure is.
So if you don't mind, let's jump into some kind of questions and we can see where this takes us. But I would love to hear from some of your perspectives. What are kind of the top skills? And some of you have already touched on this, but from a career perspective, obviously we know that getting experience as students, or even after you're a student, you're always sort of working towards maybe a specific career goal that you have in mind, or just generally, we're always kind of building our skill sets to make us marketable to whatever comes next. And maybe that's growth within our organization, or maybe it's expanding to another organization, contributing somewhere else. But I'd love to hear from you all what you think are some of the top skills and experiences you're getting from your time with Intern Pursuit. What are you going to be able to put on your resume because of this, whether it's something little, something big? I'd love to hear from y'all.
Well, they should be able to answer that question pretty easily, I think. I've gone over this with them and they know what is on their resume already. So I'm going to let Donnie go first.
Okay.
Okay, I would say research, knowing how to do research or conduct concise research, because Isabella taught me how to use the ampersand, that's what it's called, to really hone in your research and figure out what exactly you're looking for, the different research methods, the digging deeper. It's not just a Google search or, something like that. Also, what was it? Multitasking. That's another part of it, even though we've touched on that already. Just really being able to put your hand in different places. And another is software understanding. I don't know.
Sure.
But like understanding different software that is used to create one post. You know what I'm saying? You got CRM, you got not Adobe.
Canva, HubSpot, you used, yeah, Hootsuite.
Multitude of software.
Sure, right.
Really get, that one piece of content to
Absolutely.
get the way you want it to. Use of hashtags, researching hashtags, like I said, research before, but a lot of those skills, I would say, based on the social side, like creating social content.
Yeah.
And
I'm
creating
sure
the buyer
would agree with all
personas.
those things.
Yeah, buyer personas. Oh man.
Yeah.
Had fun with those.
One thing I think is interesting that you mentioned is I think sometimes students, especially that I work with, have this impression. They hear the word research and they think, oh no, research is for scientists, or it's for people who study biology, or, I think we kind of have this preconceived notion of what research means. But what I love about what you're saying, and I think what all of you have kind of touched on, is you're being prepared to do research in a variety of different ways. And research as a skill set is going to be incredibly useful across the board, no matter what industry you all are hoping to go into. And I'd be willing to bet, and we can talk about this later, but your career goals are probably varied. You all probably have your sights set on different industries or fields, but research as a skill set is going to benefit you broadly, and employers across industry, that would be something that they would be really impressed by. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, you have to research like a mad scientist. It's not necessarily a scientist. It is a science itself, but research like a mad scientist.
Yep. I love that.
I think Augustina's perspective will be very unique because she's relatively new to the team.
Yeah.
And she jumped right in with it. So what do you think? What are your skills that you're adapting to very quickly?
I can definitely say that in the short amount of time that I've been with Intern Pursuit, I'm already learning so much. Um, Isabella had me creating content, which is something that I've never done before, and not only creating the content, but everything that goes behind that post that goes out, all the, like Donnie was saying, all the research, the hashtags, the audience that you're trying to reach. That is definitely something that I hadn't been exposed to before and that I'm learning about. And then also she provides with these learning modules and like courses that will give me certifications that I can really touch on some theory and then see how it will apply to what we're doing. Then another thing that I think is great is that I have the opportunity to help in a lot of different areas. Like I mentioned, content, and then, well, I'm doing the PR campaign, and then I'm also going to be helping out with the student newsletter. And there's a lot of variety of things that I can get my hands in and just learn about. And I think that's great.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah,
amazing.
she obviously hit the ground running with us.
Yes. And tell me, if you don't mind, Augustina, so what, I'm just so interested as a first year student, you know, oftentimes I think, again, students I work with tend to start thinking about maybe this a little bit in their first year, but don't always plug in right away. What prompted you to get involved right away so quickly? How did you find Intern Pursuit or connect with Isabella?
So I joined the PR club here at UCF Quotes, and they host an intern pursuit, like a sort of like a career fair for internships every semester. So last fall, I actually I attended that, and I was working with. I actually was paired up with a mentor from the Nicholas School of Communication, so he was helping me out with that, and I was able to reach out to Isabella through Intern Pursuit. Hers was one of the featured internships, so we were able to connect through that, and then you know, next thing I knew, I was saying yes to the internship and just beginning. This is my second semester here, so it was kind of quickly. But I'm not the kind of person that likes to sit around. I'm with you.
Sure, that's amazing, and I think you're like a perfect promo for getting involved on campus, taking advantage of opportunities, mentorship, career fairs, and so that is like music to my ears because I'm forever trying to tell people how great it is to take advantage of all the activities and events that are going on. So I love that.
I honestly will tell you they all came through. Now, we should probably tell anybody watching this video, UCF, the Nicholson School has an event, a career event called Intern Pursuit. And I've gone to that before, and the professor that oversees it, I had gone up to her and said, hey, I like this name. I went and reserved it on GoDaddy and also on Sunbiz. So like we're partners now. So she kind of laughed and, well, not kind of, she laughed and she said it was great. So that's where I think, Augustina, some of the things that they're mentioning is it came from the UCF Intern Pursuit Career Fair. And then she transitioned into the company that's not directly related, but we are a partnership, I would say.
Sure, I love it. That's fantastic. Does anybody else want to speak to some of the skills that you're building working with Intern Pursuit?
Sure, I could go.
Okay.
And I think any internship, but not just any internship, but one with Intern Pursuit specifically, fosters, of course, like professional and career development skills. But I think maybe perhaps more importantly, being cast into like a very dynamic startup environment. And Isabella allows you to kind of like really experience that, with a very fresh perspective. And she really allows you to perform high impact work, which also means that there are many opportunities to learn. So I think like an Intern Pursuit internship specifically is very valuable because there's just so much to learn and there's so much to experience, and then there's really great mentorship involved as well. So me specifically, Isabella mentioned, I've been working with her for over a year. I've been able to experience everything from consulting to finance to now marketing. And there are so many, job skills that are that can be acquired through, performing all these, different responsibilities. But I think beyond that, it's like there are a lot of soft skills that it teaches you as well. Donnie mentioned research. I think some other, factors are listening skills, especially in consulting. I think beyond that, like, teamwork, critical thinking. These are like skills that are becoming, increasingly valued in the industry, and
Yep.
and skills that are like very differentiable, right? Like these are things that people can speak to when applying to jobs. So I think that's really important. I think that an internship with Intern Pursuit is something that differentiates you, from a lot of other applicants. And I guess lastly, I think it allows you to gain like certain like measurable outcomes. Just like, like in a saturated field where a lot of people are going to be applying to, a lot of jobs, like how do you yourself stand out? And I think one way is like by speaking to the impact that you've made. I think with Intern Pursuit, like Isabella gives you a chance to learn a lot, but also to like make a big impact. And so whether you want to get involved in like a marketing campaign and, and have the measurable outcomes be, the analytics that you track for that campaign, or, maybe you want to, get involved with the podcast or the radio or, on through finance as I did, or anything else. I think there's just so much to learn and so much to gain. So yeah, just keeping it brief, I think I've definitely learned so much and been connected to so many people and learned about so many different industries, companies, business processes, growth strategies, and I've made a bunch of friends as well, including Isabella. So yeah.
That is incredible. And I love that you talk so much about impact, because it's true, not every experience is created equal. I think, we can all probably speak to that where, certainly we're told, go get hands-on experience, whether that's an internship, service learning, community, a part-time job, whatever it might be, go get experience. And I think that's so true, of course. But again, we know that experience, you want to be coming away with the ability to tell a story about how you've contributed or how you have served as an asset. That's what your potential future employer is going to want to know on your resume in an interview. And so I think that is such a testimony to what Isabella has created and the culture of Intern Pursuit. Yeah, that's awesome. And I'd love to get into the culture a little bit. And if we can kind of pivot from there, I think it was a perfect segue. I'd love to know just what you all value about working on this team. What is it about maybe the culture of Intern Pursuit, or, tell me a little bit about that dynamic and what you've enjoyed or appreciated about it.
I would say personally, I really enjoyed the amount of knowledge Isabella was able to help me personally attain with this just one internship. Because I had an internship prior, but I'm not gonna badmouth them, because it was a valuable internship. I use everything every opportunity as a valuable lesson to learn. But this one, she really gave me allowed me to use the skills necessary for the field that I want to work in, and hone in those skills. And so I really am grateful for her giving all of us the room to work in those skills. And if we were to fumble, she would give us good criticism, like not criticism your mom would give you, but criticism that saying probably a criticism that really worked. I'm gonna just say that, like, yeah. It really was beneficial. So for me, it was really the assist she gave us on honing our skills.
That's awesome.
I'm going to add to that and say it was probably because I held them accountable more than anything. And I won't put up with their crap, so to speak. But they know that I love them all dearly, very much, and that they do contribute a lot. What I ask anybody that works with me, and this is what I teach to employers, is what can you take off my shoulders to help them develop leadership skills and the ability to not be afraid. Just don't be afraid. It's not going to be right maybe the first time. That's okay. You learn from that and you keep going forward.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. What else? I'd love to hear from some other some other team members, what you feel like, what's kind of the culture? What do you appreciate about working with Intern Pursuit?
I liked what Isabella said about accountability because, yeah, she does that for me. Because I'm still, I guess Intern Pursuit is my second internship. I also got my first internship from Intern Pursuit, but it was with another company, and I got them through. I basically went to Intern Pursuit for quotes too, and that's where I met Isabella, and that's the name drew me to it. So
I love that.
the name, but yeah. So accountability. I guess I'm still in the student mindset, and not more of like the working mindset. So she's always like, hey, time management. If you say you're doing this, you gotta do this. And but what I really love is that, I guess, the flexibility, because I initially came in wanting to go into account, and that's where I learned the analytics, but I realized that that's not the goal I want. And she gave me the leeway to go into what I really want, which is content and art. And it wasn't like a hard shift to where I'm so new. But like when I was doing the account services, I was still doing like in the meetings for like marketing and stuff. So I still like saw what the other team members were doing. And that's what I really like about it, how we have like weekly meetings and how we get to talk with basically the founder, the CEO, instead of like we're just working in a team and like we never know anything in our own little group. So I really love about
that's amazing. And you'd be maybe surprised to find that that is certainly not the case everywhere. So that is a real gift, I think, when you're with an organization where there's a lot of transparency and a lot of ability to kind of work across divisions or departments. So that's very cool. I love that.
One of the things that I have Min to do is she has to manage me. If she's not afraid to manage me, and so it's more of building confidence, right? But you know, if you don't want to manage your boss, that was part of our discussion. Yeah, but you're my boss. And I'm going, well, get over that, because no, we're all on the same team. So manage me, and then she becomes the one that gets better at those skills.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I like that. And yeah, managing up is a skill that that you'll need no matter where you end up in the future. That is a skill that will be valuable in any organization, no matter kind of what your role is or where you're starting off. And I think that idea of non-positional leadership, again, if you can highlight ways that you are building that as an intern or as a student and working your way up, I think it will be invaluable to your current positions. Before we move on, I wanted to just make sure I gave space if anyone else wanted to speak to kind of the culture or their experience.
Yeah, so I had something quick to say.
Sure.
I think it's really important to highlight that that like a lot of like internships and like job opportunities, right, like are not really necessarily tailored to like what an intern wants to do and what their aspirations are for the future, right? Like it might be like generally like a broadly or tangentially related, but I think like a lot of times like the employer is just kind of squeezing work out of the intern, but there isn't like too much that like the intern can necessarily gain out of it, which is one of like the Department of Labor's like requirements, I believe, for like unpaid internships. So I think like with like Isabella, like I think like what I really appreciated was like there's like an individual development plan. Like she adjusts to what I want to do. She's always asking me like, what do you want to do? What are your goals? And how can I like help you achieve that? I think that's very unique. And I don't think I've ever seen that in like an internship. And I've had like I've had the like, you know, like the, you know, the, I'm humbled to have had like several internship opportunities. So like, I think it's very unique. And so like, that's what allows us to like, you know, gain a lot out of the internship. And that's what brings us back for more, because like we're gaining things that we can, not only like job skills, but also like life skills and soft skills that we could use toward our careers. So that's like the first thing. And then the second thing about like the culture, I think, is that one of the things I saw in like the initial job description, right, is like we work in team, you know, we work in a team, we work really hard, but we also know when to take a break and like how to like have fun as a team. I think like, you know, just creating that like social bond or like, you know, that meaningful like personal bond is, I think it goes a long way, you especially when working with like new interns. Like I was a freshman when I started working with Isabella. So I think it like made a big deal to me that like my employer, went out of their way to like know who I am as a person, what my weaknesses and strengths are. And then like, she asked everyone today, like, what makes you like amazing, right? Like, that's not something that a regular employer does. So I think it goes a very long way. I think it's very, meaningful and unique as well.
I totally agree. And I think if an employer can instill a sense of confidence and kind of self-worth in a professional way in their team, I think, again, you're right in the fact that you don't find that often. I have the opportunity to work with lots of employers, lots of great employers. And I think still, even employers who are well-renowned across their industry, it doesn't mean that they always have that, I think, that ability to one-on-one interface with their employees and say, what makes you great? What makes you fantastic? And how can I continue to see that in you, but continue to develop that in you, I think is really important as well. So that is a great sort of segue into what I want to ask everyone next. I'd love to hear what your career aspirations are. I'd love to know what each of you, whether it could be something big, 10 years down the road that you would love to do, but what's a career goal of yours? What is that like dream career? And if you don't have a dream career, that's all right too. Just tell us maybe a little bit about the industry you're hoping to go into.
I can go because I know. I want to be a creative director. So that took me a while to accept because the job wise is hard work to get there. And I was just trying to find like easy route. And it was just, I wanted to do account coordinating. And I was like, but that's not what I really love. So it always came back to creative director, and I'm gonna stick to that. And Isabella is helping with everything we do in the company. Isabella is helping me build my portfolio so I can get there.
Amazing. That's awesome. And it sounds like you're building very, very direct skills that will help you get there. So that's wonderful. What else? What is everyone else interested in?
I'm actually interested in looking into like entrepreneurship and like working for myself and perhaps starting my own businesses, whether they're like obviously smaller things, but even though like I know like I don't really, you don't need a degree for that, but it's like the skills that I learned during my internship and during my experience in college like definitely helps for that. And of course, like in the meantime, using my degree to look for a different career to fall back on is always nice. I was thinking like something in the field of like the radio, television, broadcasting, or something similar to like what I did with Isabella. Of course, like I was an assistant podcast producer. So something in podcasting or like at a news station or something like that.
This is sort of a random question for you, but since you're in this business of podcasting, I'd love to know if you could create a podcast about anything, do you have a specific interest area or something that is exciting to you? What would you create a new podcast on?
Recently, in the past couple of years, I've been interested in like I'd say health, or health in terms of like what products do you use, because everything that you put on your skin and all the chemicals that are on the ingredient list of that, it absorbs straight into your body, and that, affects your hormones and things like that, or like what foods you consume, or so something like that, like something in terms of
She
like
is amazing because every time she would come into these our meetings, she gets super passionate about like what are the ingredients in makeup. We did a future of the beauty industry, and I would sit here and listen to her and I go, why aren't you doing this? This is like, you could do a whole show on this. And then
and people would listen. Right now, clean and vegan beauty is such a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
I am like skimming the surface of trying to be really cognizant about that, but there are people way, way more knowledgeable, obviously, than me. And consumers, I feel like you would have a huge target audience.
Oh, she would. And she's an expert, I assure you, because she can name off these, 5-syllable ingredients that are bad for you. And I'm going, well, what is that? And every time she talks about it, I always learn something new. So she's She's
Mhm.
amazing in that area.
Well, we will all be on the lookout for a future podcast on clean beauty. Just keep us posted.
There
Okay.
you go. That could be the name of your show, Clean Beauty.
Yeah.
She just gave you a title.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's awesome. What else? What is everyone else interested in pursuing?
I'll go. I'm also interested in doing entrepreneurial stuff. Right now, I do taxes for Safe Tax. We can definitely get you up to $6,000 in cash advances, help you with all your stimulus.
Okay.
But yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to, goals I had for myself was learn a little bit more about the tax game and how taxes, affect everyone in the United States and across the world and whatnot. Another thing is I started, after having this opportunity with Isabella, I started an Instagram page called simply.risky. We talk about investing, mindset, fashion, travel, and what's the other one? Health. So we touch on a wide array of topics just because that's what me and my cousin, by the way, who started the page, just like another entrepreneurial endeavor, just to where we give out knowledge and give out resources and connect people via Instagram. I feel like that's a hot topic as well.
Yeah. Very cool. You'll have to everyone drop all of these entrepreneurial pursuits into the chat too, so that we have them, we can save them and make sure that that's written in. We can give you a little plug there. That's really cool.
And I'm also in a real estate course, trying to get my real estate license. I'm still in school. Just trying to I don't want to say jack of all trades because that has like a negative connotation to it, negative sense. But at the same time, I feel like I'm so young. Why not be a jack of many trades to see what lane I like to fit in and what lane I'll go 100% in. This next decade was really my word for the decade. It's not a word for the years. The word for the decade for me is being intentional, very intentional with what I want to do, what I want out of life, and not looking back saying, oh, what could have been kind of stuff. So
sure.
Yeah, pretty much it on me, for me.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Who are we missing? Augustina, I know that you have just started, so, you may not have something specific in mind, but I'd love to know what you're kind of thinking this first year in school. Is there anything that really has captured your attention, things you want to pursue down the road?
I actually don't know exactly what I want to do, but I don't know. I have been learning about a lot of different things. I feel like that's something that I really like with Intern Pursuit, that I can do a little bit of everything. And so I would like to hopefully aspire to be something that can allow me to do a little bit of everything, whether that is, I don't know, like, sorry. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm a very like flexible person. I really want to be able to not have like a monotonous, like just doing one thing, one task kind of situation.
Okay.
So that is why I love that Isabella gives me the opportunity to explore different things, and hopefully I continue to do that, and I'm able to do that into like my professional life in the future.
Love that. And I think what's important that you mentioned is, right now you're not looking for a full-time career. You're a student, you've got other great things going on, but I think it's very self-aware to know that down the road, you know what some of your work values are. And what I mean by that is, that maybe you don't want to be doing one thing all the time. You want to kind of have some diversity in terms of projects or type of work. And so you're already thinking about it, even if you don't have, something specific, concrete in mind. And I think a lot of that will take shape over the next few years. As you have more experiences like the one you're having, and you figure out what are my strengths and what kind of do I value the most, and how do I put that all together and figure out, what is an organization that can give me those things. So I think that's awesome.
I'm going to add something here is that one of the other people that had worked with me is Laura Guzman. She graduated, but she came in, she worked with me on the podcast together on one semester. She wanted to change. In the next semester, she worked on social content. She transitioned out of the podcast.
Mhm.
But then she realized that that really wasn't what she was super passionate about, is creating the content. And Nicholson, UCF Nicholson and communications, she said, hey, can I flip over to HR? I'd like to work in the training space. And I said, sure, let's do that. So she began began to do the checking in on, timesheets and development plans and helping to onboard and a number of
Sure.
skills. And so she found that to be, that's what I want to do. And I think that is the takeaway from just about all of these people. They're wanting to try on many hats and figure out, what is it I want to spend maybe 5 years of my life, not your whole life, but what is it I want to get really good at? And then you can identify industry as well as a particular career path.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think that's something that I always encourage students to do as well from a career services point of view. It's figuring out, how do you get experiences to then make the determination, was that something that really played to my strengths and my interests? Or if it wasn't, that's okay too. You kind of have to find that out sometimes by doing it and by experiencing it to know if it's something to continue with in the future. So I think that makes great sense as well. Let's see, I want to make sure we're giving everyone a chance to share kind of what their career goals might be. Ritvik, did we give you a chance to talk about that if you want to share?
Oh, I'm muted again.
You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of like my career goals, I think like in the short run, I definitely want to pursue like consulting. I think it's really interesting. You get to solve problems behind the scenes for a lot of different companies. But like I think in the long run, I've always wanted. I'm pre-law right now. I always wanted to like go into law school, and either like maybe start like a pro bono law firm, or like work in maybe like intellectual property or like criminal law, and then like eventually like maybe like serve in Congress. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Very cool. That's amazing. And again, it's very, I would say, both common and great to not know what you want to do either. Give yourself a lot of room to kind of try things out and pivot from one thing to the next, I think is awesome. So that was really fun, I think, to learn, obviously about what you're all doing right now and the experience that you're building with Isabella and Intern Pursuit, but of course, kind of what aspirations you have going forward and the ways in which Intern Pursuit, I think, is helping you to build the skills to launch into those various things. So that is really great. I know we're kind of getting ready to finish up here. I wanted to just open it up for a minute. Is there anything that we didn't talk about, or maybe a question I didn't ask, but something you want to share? Maybe it's something that you want other students to know, or something that you want us to know. But I want to give a few minutes if there's anything that anyone wants to share with us.
I actually would. I'd like to be able to share something. So for anybody, again, that's listening to this is a startup, and startups are super appealing because you get to come in and go, oh, there could be a job opportunity. I can actually create the dream job that I'm looking for. That's something that's always appealing when I go to career fairs. And I think part of what they're all experiencing. Being a startup, though, it means everything moves fast. You got to be quick to adapt, and you've got to not be afraid to say, hey, what do you think about this? I don't know. Let's try it. We're going to have to test it and see what happens. You can't always do that in more established companies. But I would tell anybody that's a student, and obviously an employers, don't let that be a barrier to being able to bring something new and fresh to your industry and to what services you can provide. Because just to be honest, everything that somebody looks at with my company was done by interns with me, and some other people, some more seasoned professionals also. But they will, from the game to the podcast to the development of the platform to whatever you see, the logos, this was all done by intern talent. So for employers, like, let them out of the box, work together, know that you can grow amazing things and make a big impact, as Ritvik said. I like that word, impact.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Anything else that anyone wants to share with us? Or Stephanie, feel free to jump into if you've got questions that would help you kind of in your
Messaging.
collection of ideas and thoughts.
I think maybe one thing I would want everyone to kind of share, and just kind of quickly, like, what's one piece of advice that you would probably give to somebody, like looking back, like let's say a younger version of you or somebody who can relate to you, like what's something that you can just like give them as like an advice when they're looking into, like, should I join, something like Intern Pursuit, or actually join and talk to Isabella, like what's something that you would advise or give them as like a tip?
Yeah, a big takeaway for your peers.
Be ready to work hard. Yeah, put your best foot forward, and then be open to constructive criticism and just improve on it. And understand that it's like a learning process. Like, it's okay, obviously, to make mistakes in the beginning and to not be perfect at something. And it's really like, it's like you feel really happy about yourself once you do, like, you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. And I love the be ready to work hard is, I think, great advice for going into any field, just going in with the mentality that it might not be easy, but it could be worth it.
Yes.
What would your advice be? Anyone else want to
Yeah.
share?
I mean, I think I definitely wanted to build on that. I think like definitely like, like not just work with Intern Pursuit, but like any, work in like a startup environment is definitely going to be challenging, and you're going to be asked to take on more responsibility. So it'll definitely challenge you, but I think it's worth it in, many different ways. Like, not just be ready to work hard, but also be ready to take the next like step up in your career, and be ready to, become a better leader, a better, worker, a better intern, a better person. Because that's what like, Isabella will help you become. So I think, I mean, not trying to make this a sales pitch, but every single one of us have come in here, regardless of like whether we know what we want to do or whether we don't, and we've come out on the other end, and we've gained a lot out of it. And I just want to recount like a specific story, because just for the sake of like, I think this is, like we can talk all we want about like how great Intern Pursuit is, but I want to tell like a specific story about like, like how valuable or like how meaningful it has been for, at least like, I've already talked about myself, but like other people who might not have interned with Intern Pursuit, but just like who have experienced working with Isabella. Like she said, my club PlexTech has been working on, the platform for Intern Pursuit for the past semester, and we had 2 project managers and a couple developers assigned to the project, and they were just kind of helping, build the platform for an entire semester. And we've worked with multiple other clients, and Intern Pursuit was by far like the best like experience for all of our developers. And this is for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that Isabella provided a support network and a level of mentorship that was like kind of unparalleled, right? She went out of her way to like meet once a week with our project managers to help them lead the project. She met once a week with all of our developers and brought in an external mentor to help them learn more about the industry, to mentor them like on the project, to give them guidance on like everything life related. It was so helpful to all the students. And then she sent everyone a t-shirt. Like, people who lived in India, like halfway across the world, they're 13 and a half hours ahead of us, or at least I'm Pacific Standard Time, 13 and a half hours ahead of us, 10 and a half hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So like, huge time difference, huge, like thousands of miles away. And she personally, at her own expense, shipped t-shirts to them, and it made the world to them. It made a huge difference. And I think that's a specific, story I wanted to share, because, like Isabella going out of her way, like driving to everyone's house in, the Central Florida area to drop them off t-shirts, and then mailing shirts. I got 2 shirts all the way to the Silicon Valley in California, all the way to India, all the way like across the world. People were, working, in Asia and India, or India is part of Asia, but subcontinent, but Asia, across the United States, like everywhere. And so like just the fact that she was able to do that shows a lot. And so get your own t-shirt and come to Intern Pursuit.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that example with us.
I truly am appreciative of all of the kind words that they've shared, and also what you, Courtney and Stephanie, are doing. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. It's very touching for me. So thank you. Thank you
Oh,
to
good. Well, we
all
are
of these
happy
people.
to do it. Yeah, and we've loved it. I mean, Stephanie and I, we love to hear kind of the success stories. I spend a lot of my time obviously working on kind of the development piece, both on the employer side and with students. And so I do a lot of coaching, but it's not every day that I get to sit with a group of people who are kind of sharing, you know, their success stories and their takeaways. And so that is really rewarding for me as well. If you don't mind, before everyone leaves here in a few minutes, I'd love your email addresses just so I can follow up with you. I am going to end the recording here in just a moment, but I will stay on the call for a few minutes after. And so if there's any follow-up questions or anything like that, but I just wanted to give anyone a last minute chance to say anything before we end the recording.
I would like to share a quick takeaway to anyone that's watching this. I would just say, please don't be afraid to actually take the step and get involved and find an experience because it can seem very intimidating, and there's a lot of resources. You just have to look for them sometimes, and when it happens, you can get a super pleasant and great growing experience from it, just like the one that Isabel is giving us. And just like Riddick said, she's a really good mentor, and she really tries to form a relationship with you and help you grow in as many ways as possible.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, with that, I'm going to stop our recording.